From the People's Tele Ogtv, Abeokuta, Ogun State Capital, we welcome you to our comprehensive news package of today. I am Bukola Agbaki. So first, the highlights. National Assembly approves President Tinubu's emergency rule in Rivers State. Federal government deploys 10,000 civil defense officers to Rivers to curb further attacks on oil pipelines. Governor Abeokuta backs leadership award in digital transformation, cybersecurity. President Trump orders dismantling of U.S. Education Department.
And still on the news tonight, federal government to raise 300 billion naira via March bond auctions. I'll bring you details of this and more stories on the business segment of the news. I am Opeyemi Adeomi. Don't go away.
And from the world of sports, Coventry elected new IOC president becomes first woman in Africa in the role. This and more much later on the news. I am Moses Ojewumi. Stay with us.
The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubt of today. You can watch us live on Facebook at Ogtv and Ogun State Television, YouTube at Ogtv Abeokuta, and on Ogtv website www.ogtv.com.ng/live. For the latest news and reports, check us on these platforms: X at Ogtv, Instagram at Ogun State Television, or download Ogtv app on Apple Store and Google Play Store. Now the news in full. The Senate and House of Representatives have passed and adopted the state of emergency proclamation of President Bola Tinubu in Rivers State. And the 6-month suspension is slammed on Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Hours earlier, the House of Representatives passed and adopted the proclamation through a voice vote with 243 members in attendance. The House also made recommendations to the proclamation. The House recommended that a national committee should be set up to mitigate and restore peace back to Rivers State. Secondly, the National Assembly should take over the activities of the State Assembly within 6 months. At the upper chamber, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced the passage after a closed-door session that lasted over 1 hour. According to him, the Senate relied on its orders 133, 134, 135, and 136. Earlier, Akpabio disclosed that Tinubu had written the Senate a letter of proclamation on the 6-month suspension slammed on Fubara.
The Senate invokes the powers conferred on it by Section 305, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and approve the proclamation of state of emergency declared by Mr. President in Rivers State of Nigeria.
I hereby forward the consideration of the House of Representatives copies of the official Gazette of the State of Emergency Proclamation 2025. I wish, in view of the grave and urgent situation that has necessitated its issuance, to particularly commend this proclamation to the House of Representatives for consideration and approval in line with the Constitution. Those in support of this request of Mr. President as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. There is have it.
National Assembly on Rivers State political crisis. In another development, the South-South Governors Forum has expressed concern over the recent declaration of a 6-month state of emergency in Rivers State and the suspension of 2 democratic institutions, calling for a reconsideration of the decision. In a statement signed by its chairman, Governor Duyedere of Bayelsa State, The forum acknowledged the President's constitutional responsibility to maintain law and order across the country. However, it questioned whether the situation in Rivers State meets the constitutional threshold for such a declaration. Citing Section 305, subsection 3 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended, the governors noted that a state of emergency should only be declared under extreme circumstances such as war, external aggression, and imminent invasion, or a severe breakdown of public order. They argued that the political tensions in Rivers State do not justify the suspension of democratic institutions. Furthermore, the forum emphasized that the Constitution provides clear procedures for the removal of a governor, deputy governor, and members of the House of Assembly. Under Section 188, they raised concerns that these constitutional provisions may not have been fully adhered to in the current situation. To de-escalate tensions and promote lasting peace, the South-South Governors Forum has urged the federal government to rescind the state of emergency and allow constitutional and legal mechanisms to resolve the political dispute between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the Rivers State House of Assembly. Meanwhile, the federal government has deployed 10,000 Nigerian security and civil defense corps personnel to curb further attacks on oil pipelines against the backdrop of the blast at the oil installations in Rivers State between Sunday and Tuesday. The NSCDC spokesperson, Afolabi Babawale, confirmed the deployment of anti-vandal operatives, stating that the operatives were tasked with protecting critical infrastructure and preventing pipeline vandalism, particularly in the Niger Delta. Babawale, speaking further on the deployment of 10,000 armed personnel, said the commands nationwide are on high alert to protect the nation's vital assets, particularly in the Niger Delta. The NSCDC, according to him, is working in collaboration with other sister security agencies in the protection of government assets, while he warns against destruction and vandalism of critical national assets and infrastructure across the Niger Delta. And moving away from that, from the home scene, Ogun State Governor Prince Dakpo Abeokuta has received the Leadership Award of Excellence in Digital Transformation and Cybersecurity bestowed on him by Babcock University. The event, which took place on the campus of the university in Ilishan-Remo during the 2025 Cybersecurity Workshop, was tagged Building a Resilient Cybersecurity Ecosystem, Bridging Academia, Industry, and Organizational Practices. Receiving the award on behalf of the governor, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Information and Communication Technology, ICT, and Cybersecurity, Senator Shuaib Salisu, stated that Governor Abeokuta understands the importance of the fourth industrial revolution on career advancement. Hence, various achievements have been recorded so far towards digitalizing the state. He maintained that Ogun State has been recognized locally and internationally based on free tech empowerment programs and training made available at the Ogun Tech Hub for youth, technology entrepreneurs, and startups, calling on Nigerian youth to navigate digitalization, which is the fourth industrial revolution for career development. Senator Salisu, who was also honored with the ICT Policy and Cybersecurity Advocacy Excellence Award, underscored the need for every individual, organization, and government agency that desires growth to embrace digitalization, saying that service delivery in Ogun State has been made easier through the digitalized and technological-driven agenda of Governor Dakpo Abeokuta. He reiterated that the state government would enhance the career path of individuals or organizations that are ready to embrace and leverage digital technology, emphasizing various opportunities available at Ogun Tech Hub. The annual Grand Iftar break-up fast for Muslims in the state to commemorate the 1446 Ramadan being hosted by the state governor, Prince Dakpo Abeokuta, is scheduled to hold on Saturday, 22nd March 2025, beginning from 4:30 in the evening. A statement from the Secretary to the State Government, Tokunbo Talabi, indicated that venue is the Arcade Ground, Governor's Office, Okemoson, Abeokuta, Highlighting the annual Iftar program is the lecture with the theme, Islam and the Rejection of Extremism, to be delivered by Alhaji Sikirullah Kunle Azan, a legal practitioner and former chairman of the National Hajj Commission, NACON. The statement further urged all invited guests to be seated by 4 in the evening. Away from that, following the prevalent act of injustice and its adverse effects on humanity, an Islamic cleric who is the Mudir Insight Institute for Islamic and Technical Studies, Dr. Afis Musa Adeyemi, has counseled Muslim faithful and political leaders at all levels to assess and rid themselves of acts of injustice, from the family being the smallest unit in society to the national level. Adeyemi threw the challenge during the 2025 annual Ramadan lecture titled Injustice in the World Today, Causes, Effects and Way Out, organized by the Ogun State House of Assembly Muslim Community Mosque, held at the Assembly Complex, Ukimoson, Abeokuta. Correspondent Kola Osho covered the event. Details of his report are presented in this package.
Members of the Ogun State House of Assembly Muslim Community converged on the Assembly Complex for the 2025 Ramadan lecture with the title Injustice in the World Today, Causes, Effect and Way Out. Speaking under this topic, Mudir Insight Institute for Islamic and Technical Studies, IIITS, Dr. Afis Musa Adeyemi noted that it was imperative for everyone in leadership positions to be conscious that they are all shepherds in their various endeavors and are expected to be more responsible, as they would be accountable to God through deliberate act that would promote accountability, equity, and transparency.
Not having consciousness of Allah is one of the major causes of injustice. The way out is to have the belief that you are going to stand before your Lord and be answerable to your Lord.
Earlier in his keynote address, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Oludai Sielemide, who spoke to Honorable Member representing E42 State Constituency, Honorable Folawe Wasalami, stated that the lecture was organized as part of religious activities in the holy month of Ramadan, which remained the month of repentance, mercy, goodness, generosity, and abstinence from sinful act.
The text legislates to advance these hostings of these Ramadan lectures imperative, as the programs mark Muslims are more conscious of their expectations from God Almighty and strive to please Him in exchange for godly and heavenly rewards.
Earlier in his remarks, the chairman, Ramadan Lecture Organizing Committee, and Deputy Minority Leader of the Assembly, Honorable Lukman Atobatele, submitted that the period of Ramadan was a moment for the Islamic faithful to be closer to Almighty Allah through increased act of worship by seeking forgiveness from their sins.
We should strive to sustain peace and practice even after the month of Ramadan for the upliftment of our religious piety and spirituality.
Atobatele noted that the topic was apt, considering the prevalence of injustice of the powerful countries against the weak, taking advantage of the poor by the rich, imposing undue punishment on the followers by the leaders, noting that there was the need to find a way out of such unholy act.
There were 4 predictions for Ogun State in 2025, which commenced in March, as designated 16 local government areas as flood-prone areas, with the period April to June likely to witness over 15 days of severe dry spell. Consequently, the Ministry of Environment is stepping up advocacy to mitigate its effects, just as the state government is set to deploy Black Maria for prosecution of environmental offenders. Commissioner for Environment, Dr. Ola Oresoya, gave the clarifications at the year 2025 flood alert in Abeokuta. Tunde Shodeke has more.
In the last 4 years, Ogun State government, through the Ministry of Environment, has made positive impact in mitigating the effect of flood highlighting the importance and necessity to annually take proactive steps in safeguarding lives and property. Chronicling efforts in this direction, the Commissioner in the Ministry, Dr. Ola Oresoya, made it known that the silting of rivers and streams across the state is ongoing, noting that the prediction of Nigeria Meteorological Agency and Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency will not be treated with kid gloves.
In continuation of the effort of the government to minimize occurrences of flood in the state, residents of Ijebu-Ode, Ota, Owode, Abeokuta, Onihale Inifo, Shagamu, Iperu, and Ilishon are advised to be wary of flash flood expected between the month of March and July. While those living on the floodplains of Isheri, Akute, Warewa, Okiafa, Owa, and Yemule River banks in Ijebu-Ode, Ifara, Ebutio, Oni, Ayede, Anyala, Makun, Iwokwe, and Igede in the Ijebu waterside, among others, are advised to relocate to safer ground before the coastal flooding between September and November.
The revealed move to introduce Black Maria for prosecution of offenders of environmental laws, adding that evidence of payment for waste disposal is now a prerequisite to enjoy privileges in Ogun State as a strategy to discourage illegal dumping of waste.
So far, so good. The story in Ogun State is that we have even more people doing voluntary compliance. But the few people who are not complying, if those who are complying voluntarily, if they can't visibly see that there are consequences for those bad behavior, it's a form of discouragement for them. So that is why we are deploying these our enforcement machineries maximally. It will scare some people. Mere seeing a Black Maria will scare people.
Permanent Secretary, Minister of Environment, Dr. Olubenga Oyeleye, reaffirmed commitment to scale down the devastating effect of flooding on lives and the environment. Stakeholders present aligned with the ministry's efforts in making Ogun State safe for living and minimizing impact of flooding. At this year's Flood Alert Information, Director of Flood and Erosion Control in the Ministry, Engineer Ismail Adenuga, gave a recap of mitigating factors with a master plan to open up tributaries for areas prone to flood. For Ogtv News, I'm Tude Shudeke reporting.
The Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, has commiserated with the victims of a rainstorm that destroyed the classrooms of Mayigi Community Comprehensive High School in Lashe in the Ipokia local government area of the state. A 14-year-old junior secondary school 3, Lena Timothy Amuson, died in the incident, while 5 other learners, 2 teachers, a food vendor, and a 7-month-old child were injured. Governor Abiodun described the incident as a rude shock and very pathetic to bear, praying to God to give the family of the deceased the fortitude to bear the irreplaceable loss. The governor said the government will be responsible for the medical bills of the injured, adding that he had directed concerned agencies to move the victims who are in critical condition to specialist hospitals within and outside the state, where they are currently receiving maximum medical attention. Still to come in the news, Defense Headquarters cautions against peace deal with bandits, terrorists. We'll bring you details of this and more when we return. To stay with us.
Mixed spices seasoning cube don't land with all your rich spices where you love inside one cube. Mr. Chef Mixed Spices Seasoning Cube. Spice mix exactly the way you like them. They are available for seasoning cube. Try them today.
If you're just joining us, this is Ogtv Comprehensive News. Thanks for joining us again. Capacity building of any workforce is a precursor to enhancing efficiency and good service delivery that would yield increased productivity. Ogun State Head of Service Kehinde Onosoya reiterated this notion while declaring upon a one-day workshop for engineers and technical officers in the 20 local government areas of the state. The workshop, which is the brainwork of the Ogun State Local Government Service Commission, is in collaboration with the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Abeokuta branch. Iyoluwa Adeniyi reports that this collaborative effort to strengthen technical capacities within local government administration.
Technical officers and engineers from local governments across Ogun State assembled at the Nigerian Society of Engineers Secretariat in Abeokuta for a specialized training designed to enhance your project implementation skills. The one-day workshop brought together engineers, builders, estate valuers, and dignitaries, among whom was the Ogun State Head of Service, Mr. Kehinde Onosoya, who, while declaring the training open, highlighted government's commitment to continuous professional development as a cornerstone of effective public service delivery.
Today, Ogun State is the industrial capital of Nigeria. We have additional economic development clusters springing up in various parts of the state, and we can actually change the trajectory by projecting our best, and that is where capacity building comes in. Capacity building, whether we like it or not, is the way to go.
Engineer Olanike Ogunbono, Permanent Secretary in the Ogun State Local Government Service Commission, emphasized the crucial role local governments play in meeting community needs through properly executed technical projects.
We need to call our engineers to order that they must be efficient and effective in their workings. At this juncture, we cannot afford to waste resources. So the resources that the government has given unto us, we want to encourage our engineers to make the very good use of it.
Workshop facilitators stressed the importance of embracing professional development opportunities, emphasizing that technical excellence knows no gender boundaries in today's evolving workplace.
We must always learn, unlearn, and relearn. The world itself is evolving. We have to continue to train so that we can be one of the leading nations going forward.
You can only offer better services when you are better informed. It's important to be abreast with what's happening so that you can deliver your God-given ability of being a solution provider.
Participants expressed profound appreciation for the initiative.
This training is a very big privilege as a participant.
For Ogun State in general, to move forward, the head of service has spoken to us.
These collaborative efforts, according to participants, represent a strategic investment in strengthening technical capacity at the local level where government services most directly impact citizens' daily lives. Iyoluwa Adeniyi, Ogtv News.
In a concerted effort aimed to help taxpayers understand and meet their tax responsibilities by providing efficient and quality service, Abeokuta North Local Government embarked on a sensitization and tax accreditation program. The advocacy is to design a unique identification number for respective business operators across Abeokuta North Local Government in the state. Toyin Oguntekpe's report is presented in this package.
As part of plans to shore up its internally generated revenue through collection of taxes for the development of Abeokuta North Local Government, the Tax Revenue Monitoring Team and other top government officials embarked on a sensitization cum registration of unique tax identification number program to business operators within the council areas. The inspection team was at the NNPCL filling station, Olomori, Eco Gas Refilling Plant, Olomori, and others. Highlighting the purpose of the exercise, Executive Chairman of Abeokuta North Local Government, Dr. Lanre Oyebola, said the awareness became necessary to checkmate and sensitize the business operators on the necessity of the tax unique identification number and payment.
They are not doing something that they are not used to. This has been, in practice for far before us. What we have only done is that we are trying to ensure that each business in Abeokuta North will have a unique ID, so that long after we might have exited office, local government will continue to have data that they can rely on. It helps us to be able to, to project into the future and to be able to take very informed and empirical decisions.
Dr. Oyegbola emphasized the need for business operators to pay their tax directly to the coffers of the council and forbid cash payments to any individual. Stakeholders who welcomed the initiative said it will promote a stress-free environment for their business operations.
For us to be going to bank to go and pay, the transfer and the POS is better because this is cashless policy.
That is what the chairman and the entire local government want, so we must comply with them. So we have no option.
Abeokuta local government in Ogun's Central Senatorial District is in a cosmopolitan environment, and nothing short of this initiative is expected from the present leadership as it drives a purposeful administration.
The Commander General and the Chief Executive Officer, Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps, Commander Sheni Ogunyemi, has charged the Chairman of Chartered Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, CIOTA, and members to stem the rising tide of road crashes involving trailers and tankers through advocacy and enlightenment. He gave the charge while officially declaring open the temporary office of the Ogun State chapter of the Institute in Abeokuta.
And that is it. Any company that wants to break even must be able to take care of the transport department or logistics department. You must encourage your drivers because they are the people or your salesmen that people to do the job for you as you need. So transport is everywhere. Transport is our life. We need to nationalize this transportation in all companies because all companies they have their logistics and transport department to work.
Inaugurating the Ogun State chapter of the Chartered Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, CIOTA, the national president, Dr. Segun Obayedo, charged executive members in the state and Nigeria at large to increase the membership towards stemming the tide of road crashes. In his remarks, the state chairman of CIOTA, Commander Kunle Ajibade, appreciated the effort of the state government, especially effort at reducing road crashes to BRS minimum.
We have channeled our ways of ensuring we move it, advocacy is done. It is not only on government alone. We are going to churches, we are going to mosques, we are going to the local government, we are going to the grassroots to ensure we move people.
The inauguration, which involved 5 states, including Ogun State, was done virtually, with Commander Sheni Ogunyemi inaugurating the Southwest Coordinator of the Institute. The Defense Headquarters has cautioned communities in northern Nigeria against seeking peace deals with bandits and terrorists for protection, stating that the military is not aware of such arrangements and does not support them. The director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kange, made this known while responding to questions during the bi-weekly briefing in Abuja. Reports have emerged that some communities have lost confidence in security agencies, have opted to negotiate with armed groups, imposing levies on them, especially community leaders in Jibia, Basari, and Safana local government areas of Katsina State reached a peace deal with bandit kingpins terrorizing their villages earlier in the month. However, Kange dismissed any notion of military endorsement for such deals. He reaffirmed the military's commitment to conducting its operations according to set rules and procedures, emphasizing that security forces would not stand by while criminal elements threatening lives and critical infrastructure. Providing updates on recent military operations, General Kange disclosed that troops had neutralized scores of terrorists and arrested several others, including 23 individuals involved in oil theft. The story of business and the empowerment of unemployed Nigerians will be incomplete without mentioning one remarkable individual, Olatunde Abudu. This extraordinary man, one of Nigeria's most successful industrialists has reached the impressive age of 96. In a heartfelt gesture of appreciation, students of Nobel College, the institution he founded, led by Mrs. Rita Stanley, have come together to celebrate his remarkable life and achievements in a special way.
Nigeria's current life expectancy stands at 56 years, reflecting a modest increase of 0.55%. However, for Chief Olatunde Abudu, he has not only surpassed this figure, but has also reached the remarkable age of 96, deserving of celebration. A man whom God lifted from an obscure background to become a giant industrialist, entrepreneur, and renowned benefactor. Chief Olatunde Abudu's remarkable rise is attributed to hard work, honesty, integrity, and most importantly, God's grace. Now, at 96, Chief Abudu has touched the lives of many for good. Noble House College, the institution he founded and nurtured, continues to produce future generations ready to contribute to the development of their environment and by extension, Nigeria. The annual celebration of this remarkable man took place at his home this year. Led by the principal, Mrs. Rita Stanley, the school described Pa Abudu as a man of many parts whose intimidating records have inspired younger generations.
We are not stopping at 145. We are going to 500. We are going to keep on my students. And we are very thankful to you.
Pa Olatunde Abudu's home was temporarily transformed into a music theater for this celebration, as Noble House College entertained him while he watched them, honoring his extraordinary legacy.
Congratulations to Pa Tunde Abudu. Ilese Advancement Prayer Foundation will hold its 2025 Ilese Community Night of Prayers with the theme Let There Be Light on Friday, 21st March 2025, starting at 9 in the night. Host is Alayelua. At 9 in the morning. Host is Alayelua Oba Oluremi Owolabi Obayomi Ilese of Ilese. The night of prayers is slated for 9 in the night at IDA Hall Ilese. Ministering is Pastor J.T. Kalejaye of the Redeemed Christian Church of God and all the anointed men of God. The 8th-day Fidal for Chief Ganiyu Babayeju Alimo, a distinguished entrepreneur and exemplary community leader, has been held with family, friends, and Islamic scholars in attendance. Simia Tabaru reports.
A distinguished entrepreneur, accomplished telecoms professional, devoted family man, and exemplary community leader, High Chief Ganiyu Babayeju Alemo has been honored for living a remarkable life 8 days after his demise at 86. Family, friends, and sympathizers converged on Abeokuta to pray and recount the many memories shared with the deceased.
I have so many things in common with him. We went to the same school. He was my brother.
A man who loved to speak his mind, no matter whose ox is God, a man of integrity. Baba is highly responsible and very compassionate.
Sometimes you don't need to meet the man to know the man. And anybody who has Taufik and Ibrahim as children, I don't know the others, those are the only two I know, must be a good man.
Once he believes in you and he believes the job is perfect.
Very hearty man, very hospitable, and down to heart.
To the children, living a life of service to humanity was their father's legacy.
Daddy has always been someone that you can have an interaction with him without laughing, smiling, and always getting nuggets, of wisdom from him.
We shared a lot of memories together. He would take us out from the school to a nice restaurant called Falego Restaurant in those days, and we have a very nice time. I remember growing up as a kid, I would jump on him on the bed. We would fight wrestling together when I was a kid.
He's a great man. He took me through life, watched me grow, and wanted me to be a lot better than him.
High Chief Gani Babayeju Alemo, while alive, rose to become the Balogun and traditional head of Ijaye, the Are Ono Kakanfo of Egbaland, among other titles, and he was succeeded by his wife, children, and grandchildren. Simiat Abaru, Ogtv News.
The sudden death of a member of the Nigeria Union of Journalists Ogun State Council, Segun Alani Adeleye, has been described as a profound shock by colleagues, friends, associates and family members. Speakers at the night of tribute for the journalist held in his honor unanimously agreed that his loss will be deeply felt. Ayodeji Tomori Olome reports.
It was a solemn gathering to reflect on the life and times of Segun Alani Adeleye, who bid the world farewell at the age of 58. Still in shock, friends, colleagues, and those who had encountered him in various walks of life acknowledged that his passing had left an immense void.
And beyond his professional attributes, Madam Segun Alani embodied the spirit of brotherhood. He fostered friendships that went beyond the workplace, creating a family-like atmosphere where we felt safe to share our ideas and aspirations.
We remember his exceptional leadership, academic excellence, and the positive impact he had on many of our students and other alumnus in different subfields of journalism and public relations.
He was always very calm. You would see this calm gentleman. And then every time I came around here, we would sit in a corner there. Since I've been sitting down here, I've been looking at that corner.
By nature, everybody has his own nature. He was a kind of person that he highly got annoyed.
Rest in peace, dear Segun. Your legacy will live in our hearts, and your memory will continue to inspire us.
I commiserate with the family and on behalf of His Excellency, the Governor of the State, Prince Dr. Abeokuta, and the entire team, the media team of the Governor, ably led by Abeokuta, we commiserate with the family and will continue to pray that God will be with you, His angel will be a shield over you.
The pastor in charge of Redeemed Christian Church of God, Jesus Assembly, Ishabo Abeokuta, represented by Oges Obao, urged people to turn away from all forms of sins and unrighteousness in order to inherit the kingdom of God.
Jesus has paid your price. You don't have to die. You don't have to pay for price of sin you have committed. Jesus paid. You just surrender and your payment will be made to him.
Segun Alani Adeleye, the consummate public relations officer, was until his passing on Wednesday, 12th March 2025, the development communication specialist for the Ogun State Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing Project, Oguram. Ayodeji Tomori Olumi, Ogtv News.
May his soul rest on. Up next is business news with Opeyemi Adeomi. Stay with us.
Welcome to Business News. The federal government, through the Debt Management Office, has announced a bond offer for subscription by auction on March 24, 2025 to raise a total of 300 billion naira this month. The issuance comprises a 200 billion naira 5-year bond and a 100 billion naira 9-year bond aimed at raising funds for government financing. According to the offer circular released by the DMO, the bond sale is in line with the Debt Management Office Establishment Act 2003 and the Local Loans Register Stock and Security Act. Successful bidders would have the allocation settled on March 26, 2025. The March 2025 bond auction will consist of 2 reopened instruments. The bonds are being offered at 1,000 naira per unit with a minimum subscription of over 50 million naira in multiples of 1,000 naira. African Development Bank AFDB Group President Dr. Akinwumi Adesina has unveiled plans for a groundbreaking $500 million facility aimed at unlocking $10 billion in financing for smallholders, farmers, and agribusiness enterprise across Africa. Speaking at the high-level conference on scaling finance for smallholders farmer in Nairobi, Dr. Adesina announced that the bank management is consulting with its board of directors to establish this transformative initiative. The facility, designed to close the financing gap for smallholders farmer, would deploy innovative financial instruments such as trade credit guarantees, first loss coverage, blended finance mechanism, and originating incentives. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has temporarily altered the sales of petroleum products in naira as the naira for crude talks between the 20 billion naira Lekki-based plant and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited appeared to have failed. Following the announcement of the halt in petroleum product sales in naira by the Dangote Refinery on Wednesday, the cost of loading petrol at private depot in Lagos jumped to 900 naira per litre. It was less than 850 naira per litre before the announcement. Industry experts and oil marketers warned that the halt in naira sales by the Dangote Refinery would increase the pressure on the foreign exchange market as dealers would have to access the United States dollars in large amounts to buy petroleum products. The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board has announced that local content in the petroleum industry has now reached 56%, with ongoing reviews likely to further enhance the figure. The NCDMB Executive Secretary Felix Ogbe said this at a press conference to announce the 5th edition of the 2025 Nigerian Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair, scheduled to be held in May 21 and 22 in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Ogbe stated that the board is focused on attracting new local investment into Nigerian oil and gas sector, with expectations for more opportunities arising from the 3 presidential directives in the industry. And finally, the Nigerian exchange extended its losing streak, shedding 289 billion naira in market value as bearish sentiments persisted for the 3rd consecutive trading session. The benchmark all-share index declined by 0.44% to close at over 104 million points, dragging the total market capitalization to 65.8 trillion naira. Investors' participation surged despite the negative sentiment, with 1.37 billion shares traded in 12,012 deals, amounting to a turnover of 12.37 billion naira. This represented a 290% increase in trading volume, a 51% rise in turnover, and a 7% uptick in the number of deals compared to the previous day trading. And that was the business news. We now go back to Bukola for the rest of the bulletin. Do stay with us.
Thanks, Okoyemi. Now to the foreign scene. U.S. President Donald Trump will sign an executive order that aims to dismantle the Department of Education, and at least 85 Palestinians have been killed in overnight Israeli airstrikes in Gaza. Let's join Theophilus Green for more details on the foreign scene.
U.S. President Donald Trump will sign an executive order on Thursday that aims to dismantle the Department of Education, the